Yes. Watch. We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Genslinger,
Here.
Gunkel,
Here.
Havlik, Osterloo,
Here.
Schmitz,
Here.
Schurz,
Here.
Sonny,
Here.
Dosher.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Any conflicts of interest to declare from anyone?
I'll be abstaining from 7.
Okay, we'll go roll call on that one. Anybody else? Okay. We have an agenda in front of us to approve. Any corrections to make?
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Anybody in the audience? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed nay. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the previous minutes from May 27th. Any corrections to those?
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded that we approve the previous minutes. Is there any further discussion on that item? Anybody in the audience? We're ready to vote then. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed nay. Motion carried. Next meeting would be June 23rd.
Move schedule. Second.
Moved and seconded that we set the date for June 23rd for the next meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First item on the agenda then is the rezone hearing and recommendation for JTZ Properties, LLC. Legal description is listed in the packet. This property is currently not in Mitchell city limits, but will be annexed prior to the approval of this PUD. So the application is to change it from UD Urban Development District to Lakeshore Planned Unit Development District, and the official zoning map be changed to reflect the same. Mark.
Notices were sent out to the neighbors on the 29th, 2025, published in the official paper on the 28th of 2025, and signs posted. There were 3 responses opposed that didn't make the packet, but I emailed those out this morning and handed them out in front of you as well. One from P&B Casey Farms, another from Mr. Fawcett, and then one from on behalf of Clocks. So you have those in front of you as well. Clarification with this whole project, the GIS right here. This is the 25 acres of the proposed PUD, the whole outline. Only lot 2 is in the process of being annexed into city limits at this time. That was approved at council on May 19th, so we are in the process of waiting for that to be recorded at the Register of Deeds because there's a timeline that has to meet for that. So only lot 2 will be in city limits, not the rest of this. Because it's city zoning, we have jurisdiction over inside city limits and in the ETJ where Singapore Slab Track 1 is and lot 1 of Singapore Track Slab 1. So just lot 2 is city limits. The whole 25 acres is the PUD.
Okay.
With your PUD, they're requesting, it's one of our standard PUDs that they came up with. They looked at other PUDs in the area or in the city of Mitchell, along with a lot of R3 and R4. So you have your legal description of the location of this area, what they would like for their permitted uses in this whole area, their conditional uses, accessory uses. A lot of this is pretty common for the 3 feet by any principal building line, zoning lines. A dwelling unit shall not have an accessory building over 22 feet in height. We clarified for for dwelling units because that's in a lot of your residential. Your garages can't be over 22 feet if they're not attached. The 2,000 square feet per dwelling unit for the principal and accessory shall not exceed the zoning lot coverage. Parking requirements go back to another portion within our ordinance, same with the sign regulations. There will be some potentially single family and 2-family dwellings out in this area as well as multifamily. So just like in our 4 dwelling units have to add at least 1,000 square feet to the minimum lot area, 6 stories for a height. We did put in for if there's any duplexes, 0 lot line in the event of a townhouse duplex is subdivided and sold individually. So I would take care of the side yard 3-foot setback that would be required. So it'd be a conforming use at that point in time. Again, here's the GIS area of this. It's urban development currently. This was the proposed that was in the paper. I forget the date that it was, about a month ago. That's showing kind of what the proposed layout for this PUD would be. Mr. TZ has put another layout in front of you that doesn't have the housing, and the apartments are a little bit different on that as well. Again, only this senior living area right here would be the city annexed into city limits. At this time, none of this other stuff is going to be annexed into city limits. They will do that at a future meeting. I can answer any questions that you have for me. The applicant's here if you have any questions for him as well.
So we're talking specifically about plots 1 and 2.
We're talking about the whole 25 acres. The whole 25 acres is this PUD. Their proposed phase 1 is just this senior living center, which is lot 2, which got annexed in on May 19th because that way they can get city services for that lot. Right now they do not have, in their phasing they probably have when they'd like to do the other stuff, but right now phase 1 is the senior living portion. But with PUDs, you have to be an acre for just residential. For other than just residential, it has to be at least 5 acres. Lot 2 is 4.65 acres or 4.69 acres. So we had them do the whole 25 acres. That way we got, number 1, over the 5 acre threshold, and number 2, if they develop this in the future for the rest of what they're planning, they don't have to come in and just keep amending the PUD to add a new legal, add a new legal, add a new legal.
Mark, can I just ask that board members make sure that your mics are turned on and you see a green light when you're talking?
Yours is on. So you've been working with them to develop this PUD. There's some precedent here. This isn't it's not brand new territory here.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, we did about 3-4 different versions of. They gave the original one, kind of walked through it with them a little bit, made some suggestions to flow better with our other PUDs. That the format's the same way. What they were requesting, we actually asked that they put some more conditional uses in there because they didn't have any at the time. Because our daycare, in all other parts. Home occupation, daycare is a conditional use. Let's put that in that spot because there could be daycares out here. There's probably more in for permitted and conditional uses that they might not use at all, but it's something that could be in this area. So we had them put that in there so that way they didn't have to do an amendment to it in the future. So just because it's in there doesn't mean that's what they're putting out here by any means.
Would the applicant like to add anything?
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Justin TZ. I own this 25 acres under JTZ Properties. I bought this about 3 years ago from the Casey's, and they kept 40 acres buffer between them and their original homestead to the north. I had an opportunity to bring senior living. I was contacted by HME out of Brookings. They've built 7 of these in the last couple of years, and it fit every box I wanted for Mitchell. It brings 56 housing units. It brings memory care, assisted living, and independent. And it's just a cool spot. I talked to so many people that have to take their parents to Sioux Falls for memory care and different things, and they just cry. And so we started with that. So we're bringing in 56 housing units. I mean, potentially 56 units. We made this, the name of the facility is Peaceful Pines. So we want to keep the nature feel. We want a farmer, for instance, to be able to move in there and feel like they're at home. more rule setting. We are, bringing 40 plus jobs, mostly nursing, that'll feed from MTI or MTC and DW. So it's just a great fit for Mitchell. $30 million building between, just between the senior living and the event venue. And then $1.5 million payroll start out with. $200,000 in taxes, just property taxes for the senior living. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, I don't want to stack this. I don't want to stack this community at all. I want to make it very peaceful and, feel like you're in the. I want it to be a very nice neighborhood. We got the National Guard next to you, and I think Clocks had just bought that Smith property to the kind of to the northwest. Our properties actually don't even touch. There's a, I don't know if it's 20 feet buffer zone, but there's a piece that doesn't. We don't even actually touch their property, but we're going to obey all the laws of the city, and I don't think it's going to be loud, noisy. Will there be more people there every day? Yeah, I mean that's what we want: more jobs, good jobs. Jobs with benefits. So just, we're bringing in land that's connected to the town. We're annexing it in. It's going to be more sewer usage, more tax money, more water usage. I'm trying to do everything that the city said they wanted. So,
All right.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
Not
Thank
at this
you.
time, thanks.
Thanks.
Mark, as a PUD, if they come in with a building permit, are we reviewing that, or is that strictly through John's office?
That'll just be
This
through
one?
John's office. Yep. Only the commercial 3 we review with this board.
So, Mark, who was notified from the National Guard that this was going on?
National Guard would not have been notified about this because they do not own the land. Code requires us to notify anybody that owns the piece of property.
Okay.
So code says within 140 feet of a budding property, not including right-of-ways.
So even though they occupy it, they wouldn't have been notified.
Yeah. Well, they do get notified by published in the paper
Sure.
and signs posted, but an actual letter to them, no, they do not get that.
Who does own that land?
City of Mitchell.
Any questions, comments? I'd like to do a motion in a second before we bring public up. We typically vote in the affirmative, so we can vote yes or no from there. Anybody?
Well, I'll just state my concern, not having heard from the 3 property owners that are adjacent. I'm not opposed to the idea. I'm not opposed to the development. I'm just saying, I think our due diligence is to let these folks have their say. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, I know the National Guard obviously was not notified of that, but I was a general foreman of that facility for a number of years. And if I was there today, I would probably be against it, just with the amount of things that are going on there. And I understand completely why they don't have a say in it.
So can somebody make a motion to approve, and you can still have a yes or no vote after that, and we'll hear from the comment or from the public. Moved and seconded that we approve it as presented. Anybody in the audience would like to speak to this one?
My name is Brian Clock. I represent myself and my wife. We own that under our Clock Family Trust, the land just adjacent. We were notified because, to Justin's point, it's about 20 feet between the properties, okay? And so the only people that were actually notified in the area, I believe, were us and the Caseys. Brian Casey is currently on vacation in Puerto Vallarta, so he asked that I represent him as well. But I know he did send a letter in to Mark. He told me on Friday. So I don't have any problem. Obviously, I've served on, I serve currently on the Mitchell Area Development Board. I serve on served on the chamber board for 9 years, and I pound my fist hard for people to move to Mitchell. I've drove all the way to Huntington Beach and picked somebody up just to bring them here to be my employer, okay, or my employee. My concern with this is that it felt like it was a big blanket when I got the letter. If you've read the letter that's in front of you, you can see there's 2 pages of what this could possibly be. It could be a mall. It could be a Love's truck stop. It could be a strip joint. It could be a strip mall. Who knows, right? But all of those things are viable under what is listed there. And so for me, I just had real concerns about that, whether a gas station or a car wash or it's going to be a bar or whatever's going to happen. And I felt like it was just a little bit broad of a cloth to throw. Not that I'm against development at all, right? Justin obviously has built up an incredible bunch of storage units and sold them off here in town and done well with it, right? And so I'm about employees coming to town. I'm about all that. But what I'm not about is that I currently have $1 million invested in my property. I bought the property because it was in the county, because it was a quiet space, because it was 15 acres that I own over there for my kid to just be a kid, to be a farm kid. I grew up in Emory, South Dakota. If he could have that chance, great. I currently live on the lake on 177 South Harmon, okay? And in talking with Brian Casey and those guys when I went out there, their concern was, are you going to develop this? Did you just buy it to put a bunch of houses out here? And I assured him, no, I did not buy it to put houses out here. I bought it so I could live here just like the Smith family did. I'm not even moving Clockworks out there. People see me moving all the buildings and the tin and all the structure out there. I'm just giving it a facelift so it looks the way it should, right? The buildings will stay as is, okay? They're all the same footprint, same concrete, same everything was there, okay? The concern I would have is that we're bringing in lot 1 or lot 2 in this case. I guess just lot 2 is what Mark said. But in lot 2, if that's what the deal is, I don't believe that should just be blanketed. If we had to treat it as a exception and look at it as 4.6 acres, even though it really needs to be 5, we're trying to tie in 0.4 somewhere, then I'd rather do that and just say, okay, that's what we're going to do for that, okay? Then if there's other reason to bring other stuff in, fine. Lonnie Fawcett called me on Wednesday, and he had heard through the grapevine that there was something going on. And so somebody notified him, and then he saw the sign posted to the one pole out there. And he called me. Right after that, on Thursday, Friday, I guess it was Friday, I talked to Michelle Bowl, who is next to me, okay? And she said, well, I didn't know anything about it either. I didn't get a notice. Well, you wouldn't get a notice because, to his point, it's 140 feet. Well, those that are out there are 2.5, in my case, 15 acres. Of course, you're not going to be anywhere near that, right? And so I just feel like we should just pump the brakes a little bit and just find out what the specifics are on everything. Let everybody know that could be affected by it, whether you're the National Guard or whether you're one of the other neighbors in the area, because we clearly want it to be turkey and deer and my little pond, and everything's fine. So that's really my concern. Do you have any questions for me that I can answer? Or? Thank you.
No, thank you.
Can I speak again?
Sure, come on ahead.
So I'd called Brian a couple weeks ago and left a message to call me back, but I never did hear back. So, I tried to reach out to you.
We haven't sold also.
Yeah, we're trying to do everything right, everything that people want in this city, bring jobs. It's just a lot of pushback, and I don't understand why we wouldn't want 40 nursing jobs in this town. And, people say, well, put it in town somewhere. People want to be out here. This is why people want to be. And I know what Brian's saying. I grew up on a farm not far from here. As far as I know, Brian's property's commercial. He could probably do this. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It was zoned commercial at one time with Smith Manufacturing on the site. They had it zoned commercial. So, he could technically do the same thing, or maybe even worse. He could put, a big industrial park there. I don't want that. I don't think he wants that, but I don't think we're doing anything wrong. We're just trying to grow the area, and there's not a lot of spots on the lake with lake view that we can actually build this site on. There's nothing. The city owns 75% of the lake. Everybody always says, wouldn't it be cool if we had something out the lake? Wouldn't it be cool if we had something like this? Or the senior living was just a tool to get this thing started, and it's going to be awesome. I'm excited about it, but I just hope you guys can see it through my eyes. The National Guard, I've got a brother-in-law that works out there full time. They'd love to have a place out there. They'd love to have more people out there. There's no place to even get a coffee out there. So I mean, I just I thought I was listening to what the town wanted to build and develop, but it's always been, you always get pushback, I guess. So to grow our town, we have to keep pushing. So, and you guys got any other questions?
No, thank you.
I mean, I don't know what, Brian, maybe you can tell me, Brian, what you would want it to not say that would make you happy, I'm willing to work with you. I'm not against you. I just.
We might build in the back. We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, to be quite honest, it'd be a lot easier to just keep hunting deer out there. I mean, my daughter's disappointed that I'm doing this. So, I mean, I'm doing it for the better of the town, to be honest. This is going to cost me more money than you guys realize, It's not a big moneymaker. So, I mean, I'm trying to help out the town and grow the town. And, I mean, it'd be easy for me just to say, you know what, let's not do it. And I'm just going to move. Because in other towns, they're open arms to me. They're thankful that I show up. In Hartford, Okoboji, I could go on and on where I built. So I'm just trying to make this town better, I guess.
Thank you.
Jeremy Jensen. I'm a business owner here in Mitchell. I just wanted to speak in support of the project. Just looking at it, I mean, from an aerial perspective, I feel, it is in a correct location. The surrounding properties, you look at, some of the business that goes around there and the recreation, between the National Guard, the soccer fields, the rodeo grounds. I mean, there's a lot of traffic out there already. A project like this, I feel is going to fit the area good. To me, it's a good buffer, between those areas. As a builder, speaking to the point of, new families moving to town, we keep a pretty close eye on that, what new businesses are coming to town, housing and so forth. When we look at a company bringing, potentially 40 to 50 jobs, that's huge. Throw a dart, how many people is that? If they're, men and women married, whatever, is that 100 to 120 people moving to town? It probably is. They're going to be looking for housing. And that's something that we really look at too, how we can help out in that aspect. So we look at different things of that, good paying jobs, good housing in Mitchell. We're looking at that aspect. Additionally, in the future, if they are looking at expanding into some multifamily housing, like the twin homes and single family homes, just quick brought up the map and you want to talk about property taxes again. There's $10-12 million worth of townhomes back there. That's going to generate another $120,000 a year in property taxes, today's numbers. So I look at this property, I feel it really fits good, and knowing what they're doing, they're not looking at building, from what I know, it's not going to be bars and strip malls and car lots out there. It's going to be, you're going to have that buffer of residential housing, let's say around the perimeter. That's going to keep that country feel to it. So I just wanted to speak in support of the project. I think it's something really good for Mitchell. We can't hardly turn away jobs. We've got to figure something out because we're getting run over right now by a lot of other communities in the state. If they don't build here, it's going to get built somewhere. We better start wrapping our fingers around some of these projects and showing some support. Otherwise, we're just going to continue being stagnant. So I do appreciate everything. It's a lot of work. Like, believe me, I know what you guys are going through, but the support for this project is out there, and I do support it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
To Justin's point, I don't have a problem with development. I don't have a problem with the city growing any other way, shape, or form. I also know that we're one of 2 cities in the entire state that have some of the most available jobs and the lowest unemployment. Okay, so that means where are we going to get the people to fill these jobs? Okay, that's a whole nother ball game to look at. All I'm asking you right now is to slow down and to make sure that everyone in the area is very aware of what's going on there. And I'm happy to work with Justin or you guys or whomever on how you want to lay it out and what's going to be out there and what steps and what phases are going to be taken down as. Okay, I'm just asking us to pump the brakes a little bit because, you know, for one, Brian Casey is a bigger landholder out there than I am. He sold Justin the property on the fact that Justin was going to put a house out there for his family. He clearly stated that in his email, and that changed, okay? Justin's right. Maybe I could put it on my property. My moral compass is I'm not going to. I gave the Caseys my word that that's what I'm going to do is build a house for my family and a legacy for my family as a place to live and to enjoy the wildlife, and I'm sticking with it. That's it.
Thank you. Mayor, did you want to say something?
Jordan Hansen, Mayor Mitchell. I think it's the fact that anyone would say we didn't know about this is crazy. I've been involved with this deal with the TZ family from the start because he approached the city. He approached the Development Corporation, which Brian sits on. And right now, the Development Corporation is pushing a level 5 maximum security prison in this town with full support. But how many of them are sitting in support in the audience right now? Don't blame the guy that's willing to invest millions of dollars into our community for something everybody or most people would actually want versus having murderers in their community. You shouldn't hold something. He's done everything since November. We have all the emails to back it up. I've been involved in the email chain. The Development Corporation knows about this. Their job, the reason we subsidize them hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year is to support projects like this. The city is spending $25 million on a lake project to bring people to town. Why would we ever say no to something like this? It's not like this is a secret. This has been in the newspaper, all of the public notifications. Everything was done right. And the fact that the fact that the Development Corporation isn't here standing up for him, but they are for a prison, is nuts. The guys are looking for support. I talk to this guy a lot, Justin, and try to keep. I mean, I asked him, "Can you help us out and bring some stuff in this lake?" He was very supportive of the lake. So was Brian. We're just gonna do nothing after that. It's crazy. Are we for growth or are we not? It's a very critical time. I mean, this is the most divided I have ever seen our town. We are in extreme turmoil. And now we're talking about, yes, we support a maximum security prison, but we don't want little old ladies living by the lake looking at a beautiful sunset. I can't even believe this conversation's happening. That's coming from an elected official and a person, a resident, a lifelong resident. So just keep that in mind. If we say no to one thing and yes to something else, very important. The trajectory of our town, I know it's not on you necessarily, but everyone makes a part in this. Thank you.
Thanks. Before you speak, Mark, I'm a yes vote on this, but I am concerned about what Brian is asking. Is we've created a blanket PUD that allows seemingly just about anything. How do we enforce? Maybe the answer is we can't. How do we enforce this plan that's in front of us and say this is what we want built? We don't want to vary from this.
With the PUD itself, what's allowed in the PUD? Could their proposed plan change from what it is here? You bet it can, but it's his land. He can change it to whatever is allowed within that PUD.
So I think a bigger question maybe for this group, is there anything in the permitted uses that we would not want to allow before we approved anything or sent it to the council to approve anything? Go ahead,
Well,
Brian. Oh, sorry.
excuse me. I mean, thank you everybody for your public input, but why would we dive into the weeds today on this when Brian's simply asking us to pump the brakes. I'm not saying that I'm opposed to this, and I don't think, and I won't speak for anybody else on this committee, but this isn't a no vote. This is a, in my opinion, hey, we have people that are not represented at this meeting that own a significant portion of land around this parcel that we're talking about.
Yep.
They're not represented here today. Is it 2 weeks? Is it 4 weeks? In my mind, 4 weeks is way too long. If they have concerns, then, and we need to do some book work to find out what will be allowed and not allowed, then we do that outside of this forum. So, just my 2 cents.
This goes to city council for a first and second reading, am I wrong?
That's correct.
There's at least 3 weeks here between the getting approved and today.
Yep.
Is that enough time for you guys, or do you need more time than that?
Well, and that's all I was going to say was Brian Casey is out of town, but I believe that he and I can both be here on the 23rd in 2 weeks. You know, that's not a problem. And so it's not a matter of whether somebody knew or somebody didn't know because, you know, to your point, it's only 140 feet. Not everybody in the world's talking about this thing and saying it's all that, okay? I didn't know about it at the Mitchell Area Development until after the mayor had already announced it on Facebook the night before with this State of the City thing, okay? So I didn't even know until I went to the meeting, okay? So whether it's been in a long-term project or planning or whatever, I found out about it a couple months ago, whenever that State of the Union thing was, okay? So I don't believe anybody should be bullying anybody. That's not the idea. Yes, the city is at a very decisive and divisive point right now, okay? The prison thing, the state put out their actions and called action to the Mitchell Area Development, anybody else, to answer what you have available for this, this, and this. We did it just like every other city. Suddenly now we're in the top 2, okay?
Let's not talk about the prison. We're not talking about the prison today. I don't really want to go there.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, as someone who's on the Mitchell Area Development Board, I can tell you we just did what the city asked and we gave them the information, or the state asked and we gave them the information, okay? So I'm not going to let the rest of my constituents just get run over in a public forum because of that. I feel like we are doing a good job for the city, and I do want growth and I do want development. I'm clearly building on, and I can continue to grow my business here and bring more employees from out of the state than probably a lot of businesses my size. I'm all for Justin and his project. I just want us to do it properly.
You know, the thing I will say is, you know, I'm publicly raising or privately raising money for this event or this senior living right now. When the investors find out that our city doesn't support it, they're not going to write checks. This thing will get postponed and it won't happen. I mean, we can pump the brakes, but we did everything right. We did everything, you know, everything that was by the law. I mean, everything that we were supposed to do. Sent out letters. Everybody knew about this. I mean, so we got to wait for all the neighbors to show up and gang up against me. I mean, there's a 40-acre buffer there. I mean, he can say he promised Casey's. He didn't buy the place from Casey's. He can do anything he wants with his place. I mean, I'm not going to stop him. I mean, we can't make promises to every neighbor we have. Things change. People die. Land gets sold, you know. How do you get progress? You know, there's lots of farms that have sold and turned into industrial parks or whatever, housing developments. Look at Sioux Falls. They just keep growing and growing. And I'm sure their kids would hate the fact knowing that farmland is now houses and shopping malls. I mean, if we can come on, I just want to know what he said something about no strip malls or, you know, I don't even strip joints or whatever that he was saying. I mean, we can put that on there that these are not permitted. I don't care, but we got to keep moving forward, I guess. You know, when the investors find out that the city's not for this or they want to pump the brakes, that just kills the deal for me. You know, there is no memory care right now in Mitchell. There's no openings. If you got a mom that's needs memory care, you take her to Sioux Falls. Like I said, I've had people telling me the story over and over. You know, when we've kept our rates, we're going to keep our rates the same as every other place. We're not going to be higher, the highest guy in town. We're trying to do everything right. So I feel like we have. So do you guys got any more questions?
I don't think so. Not for you.
Thank you.
Justin or Mark, anything to add to the conversation?
I don't think I do at this point. As Mark, actually, I don't remember who said it now, but obviously this comes to City Council for first reading and second reading. I think that was actually you. So,
yeah, I think it was me.
This isn't the end of the process. This is just the first step. So, I know Mark said that notices were sent out as required by state law and by ordinances. So the process has been followed. I know that, obviously there's some people out there that believe that they should have been more involved in the process, but we can't require that as the city.
For me, I'm not sure what tabling it today to 2 weeks is going to do for us. I mean, we're just a recommendation body. Ultimately, it's John and the city council that need to do that. And if they want to table it a couple of weeks to give them more time, I think that's where it could get done.
Well,
I don't know that anything's going to change for us in 2 weeks.
Well, the 2 weeks that's when, next week is when they have the city
Right.
council for that one. Then there's
It'd be
2
2 weeks for us.
So that's 3 more weeks right there.
No,
for the
it's
final.
it'd be 2 weeks for us. We meet in 2 weeks, but we're still, even 2 weeks from now, still just a recommendation body.
Right.
So
But
we
I'm
aren't
talking about city
changing
council.
anything. Right.
Yeah,
It's a 2 week delay, though. I'm just not thinking it's going to change anything from our perspective. That's where I'm at.
The one owner has concerns, says he's going to be back tomorrow.
I'm meeting with him on the 16th for sure, and which is the day of council meeting as well. So at council, it's the first reading this next Monday night. The council could amend the PUD and agree on that PUD at that time and bring it to second reading with any amended changes or what is presented there. If they make any changes at second reading, if it gets to second
to go
reading
back
and they're
for another
significant, then it would have to do another second reading at that time.
Well, I think that between the first reading and second reading, and the basis that we're just a, kind of a recommendation, I motion to approve.
So we have a motion and a second, so we can
A
vote on
second.
that, or we can amend that motion if we're thinking we want to table it. I'm just not really in favor of tabling at this point.
So then I'll amend my motion to approve based on the plan put forth today.
Can we do that? I don't know if we can do that.
Can I ask a question about the
Hold on.
annexation?
Hold on.
Can you go to the podium, please?
What are you?
Based on this plan.
What? I'm not following you there, John, because we're the ordinance is not about the plan. It's about what the permitted and conditional uses are.
Yeah, but I understand this plan will come before another committee or John before things are signed off. I'm just basing or I'll withdraw my motion to approve. It's either going to be contingent on the plan. I mean, you bought the land for a house, now we're here.
Hit your mic.
Right?
I don't know. I wasn't part of any of those conversations. That's what
My
one of the
understanding
parties
from
said.
what I've heard today is that he bought the land for a house and now he's proposing this. I'm not opposed to this. So I will base my vote of approval on this plan.
Right, but the ordinance you see in front of you is not based on that plan. That plan would work within what the permitted and uses provided are, but it's not limited to that.
Okay, then I withdraw my motion to approve.
Okay. Or we can let it die for a second and have an alternate. How do we go forward with this?
I think at this point, if the motion was withdrawn, you just make a substitute motion or a new motion.
Okay.
Exactly.
Brad, I'll hear from you before we get too far here.
I just had a question about the annexation. So this has been annexed into the city, but that's how it works. It can be approved by the city before you guys even have a say on it. That's how it works. That's how the process goes.
Lot 2 was annexed. not the rest of it.
Understood, but I mean, they still have to say that it's okay. No? You can say it's okay to do this first, and then they can just say yes or no, we agree?
Which part are you talking about, Brian?
You can annex the property into the city before they give approval for something to be out there like this. That's right. Mark's
Yep.
nodding his head.
Yes,
Yep,
because
because the rezoning and the annexation are two completely independent processes.
Okay.
and in this area, if it was not annexed into city limits, it's still within the ETJ, so it's still our zoning jurisdiction, which would still come in front of this board. The only reason they
But
did
it doesn't have to go in front of this board before it goes to the council.
for
Not for an annexation.
annexation.
That's
doesn't
what I'm
come-
asking.
yeah, Annexation doesn't come in front of this board at all.
Okay. Just trying to be clear. Thank you.
I just want to make a comment on here. You know, I bought this land for the house. It was listed publicly. Anyone could have bought it. Originally 3 years ago, yeah, I thought maybe that would be a good place to put my house. And then this, came available for senior living, and I thought, what a perfect place for it. So, I mean, things do change. I didn't make any promises that that's what I was going to do with it. I bought it through a realtor. It was listed. Any one of us could have bought it. So, I mean, a house would be awesome there. I think this serves Mitchell better. 56 units, senior living. It's going to have a pond next to it. It's going to be the regular Notebook movie out there. It's going to be beautiful. But that's what my dream is, I guess. And I didn't think it'd be this difficult to bring senior living to Mitchell. Thank you.
We'll say what so-and-so, the buyer and the seller or realtor said, has nothing to do with us. That's a civil matter entirely outside of our jurisdiction. So maybe unfortunate, but it is what it is. So we need a substitute motion. We had ours withdrawn.
I motion to approve, based on, this is not new news. I mean, I've heard about this way back in January. I felt that there could have been diligence to be brought up any remarks against it way before this.
Is there a second?
I'll continue my second.
Still have a second. Okay. Is there any further discussion before we vote?
We've been changing these urban developments, rezoning them too, and I don't see a problem with this at all.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Probably my concern is, and I understand things change. He bought the land, he was going to build a house, circumstances changed, and I completely understand that. But I can also completely understand, Brian's concern that, well, is that going to change again? What exactly is going to be there? At the same point, kicking it down the road 2 weeks isn't going to do any good. I think we move forward and send it to the city, and they all have their chance to come in the city council meeting and express their views there also.
John Dosher, do you have any thoughts on from the council perspective?
What I'm hearing is we cannot approve the plan by just approving the change in whatever it's called, allows him to do a lot more than what he's planned. If we could tie the plan for this to the amendment, it would fly through. But we're okaying a blanket deal here, and I think that's the problem that I'm hearing from different sides. And we cannot approve the change with these specs, correct?
Correct. I don't believe you'd be able to do that.
So once it's changed and approved, he can do whatever he wants to it.
He can do whatever in this PUD.
Which is
includes
a lot more than what we're talking about. A lot of variety.
Right. And I'll just add procedurally, it's not up to this board to change the ordinance anyway. It's the city council's decision to change the words of the ordinance. So this board needs to make their recommendation. If the recommendation is that it should be limited to what's in the plan, then, you know, those words can be carried forward to council. But this board's role is not to change the ordinance.
So I think, John, that's what you take back to the council. I think that's our most of our concerns is, you know, we're approving this PUD, but we like this plan, and this is what we'd like to see built, but we can't do anything about it, really. So it's kind of on your shoulders, and the rest of the council will kind of figure that out. Is there anybody else in the audience that wants to address this before we vote on it? All right. Mark, let's do roll call.
Gunkel.
Here.
Yea or nay?
Present.
Osterloo.
Yes.
Schmitz.
No.
Schurz.
Yes.
Sonny.
Abstain.
Genslinger.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next item on the agenda is the plat for 4K Land Group LLC. It's a plat of Lot 5 of Circle K Ranch, First Edition, a subdivision of the southeast quarter of Section 6, T103 North, R60 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Davidson County, South Dakota.
This falls just outside city limits. It's within our zoning jurisdiction. But since it is within 3 miles of city limits and outside city limits, the county will hear this as well. County Planning Commission has already approved the plat. County Commission will hear it tomorrow at their meeting. The applicant is looking to sell this 2.15 acres to actually the neighbor, Stephen Loffman. This shed that is right here that is being split by the line, that has actually been demoed already. So that building is not there at all. So I can answer any other questions that you have for me with this. There is a 33-foot easement that still goes to the back of this property.
That was my question, is how do they get there?
Yeah, there's an easement that's there.
Okay. Any questions, concerns, comments? Ready for a motion? Moved and seconded that we approve the plat as presented in the packet. Any further discussion? Anybody in the audience want to address the plat? All right, we're ready to vote. Then all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Any other business to come before this board? Hearing none, we're ready for public input. If you need to address the board on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Seeing no one is coming forward, we are adjourned.